Welcome to the OAPN Podcast with your host, Adarsh Sakare. No bullshit, no cuts. 100% raw conversations with 0% fucks to give. We don't encourage the consumption of alcohol, but if you want to open up a cold one while you watch this, it's not a bad idea.
Welcome to episode number 83 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakare. On 82, we had Nirup Mohan, a stand-up comedian from Bangalore. I think it was quite a while since we got a comedian here, so very refreshing. And of course, like most of you all said, it was a long time coming. It was a long time pending that we got Nirup here. So it was nice to have him. In fact, we released that this morning. So if you haven't watched it yet, you should definitely watch it. Today we have another special person in the studio. Before I speak more about the guest, let's say hi to Nastassja Suri.
Hello.
Hi Nastassja, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Going good today?
Going very well today, actually. Lovely.
Enjoyed your class?
I did.
So Nastassja, you're the founder. Is that the tag or the designation?
I am. Yes.
You're the founder. The founder of Chakra Athletica. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Chakra Athletica. So to give you all a background on why we kind of reached out to Nastassja, I think there was a video that came up on my story, and everyone's in this spin class. By the way, she says that this is not a regular spin class, and we're going to get into that in terms of why Chakra doesn't give you a regular spin class. But I saw the video, and it has Nastassja, motivating people and telling them to develop like a new approach towards life. And there's a lot of energy in that room, at least when I was seeing it, I felt that. And I said, there's something special happening here, because people there in the class were equally energetic as her, were equally motivated as her. And you could see like the pure happiness on her face while she was doing the class. So I felt like something special was brewing there. I felt like someone's doing something that they love, which is what we are always in the search for. And that's when I reached out and, read about Chakra and figured that, this is a space that's trying to create something special, that's trying to change people's lives and impact it in a positive way. I think it was time to get her here and listen to the story of not just Chakra but Nastassja as a individual and where her journey began and how it unfolded. So if you know Nastassja, great. Maybe this is your chance to get to know her better. If you don't know her, or rather maybe you're just someone who participates in one of her classes, maybe today is the time when you'll realize where all that energy comes from, right? So yeah, welcome Nastassja. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for that intro.
Thanks for being here. First of all, right, I think it's time to address your name. Nastassja Suri is very fancy. It's very royal, right? Have you always been aware of the fact that you have a very royal name?
How did you guess, Adarsh? So a lot of people ask me what my name means, and honestly, I have no straight answer. I do know that a few Russian queens were named Nastassja, and there's actually an actress with the first name Nastassja. My dad always thought that my mother looked like that actress, so they actually named me after her. Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm half American, half Indian with a Russian name, so people get very confused. And my fun fact is that I don't know how to explain where I'm from. That's me.
I was going to ask you, so you have Russian influence, Indian influence, and American influence.
Russian is just the name, so just American and just Indian.
But there is a touch. It's in the name.
Yes, a royal touch.
So where's your dad from?
My dad is he grew up in Bangalore, but he's originally Punjabi.
Okay, yeah. And your mom?
My mom is American, from Florida.
Oh, wow. And how did they meet? And how did that happen?
In college. In the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they were like, what, college sweethearts that got married?
They were?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And So just going back, right, to just get a background of where did you do your schooling and how did that unfold you? So where did you do your schooling originally?
So in a few places, actually. So I was born here in Bangalore, lived here till I was 5. And then my family moved to California. So I did elementary school there, which, in case it's different in India, is basically kindergarten to 5th grade. And after that, I moved to Singapore. So middle school and high school, I was in Singapore.
Okay.
And then I went to college in Boston.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sort of all over the place.
And these moves were because of family, or you just wanted to study in different places?
Because of my family. So my family moved to each place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. And then after college, you came back here?
Not immediately. So I was working for a year in Boston. I was actually working in finance. So I was at a big custody bank doing a rotational...
Out of college, basically.
Out of college, doing a rotational program with them. And it was supposed to be a 2-year program. I ended up just doing 6 months because the same firm was opening offices in India. And ironically, they needed expats to move back to India and help them set up their offices in Hyderabad. So I applied for that position, got that position, and my program was cut short because I actually moved to Hyderabad to help them sort of set up those offices. Yeah.
How was Hyderabad? How did Hyderabad treat you?
It.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I'm seeing you laugh a little bit. And usually I get a much louder laugh from that reaction because a lot of my friends...
No, I love Hyderabad. It's just that I know the differences. But I love Hyderabad. I got a lot of family there. And I think, I've been a big fan of Hyderabad. But anyway.
Yeah, I think honestly I had so much fun. I had quite a few friends from Boston who moved with me. And it just felt like what Bangalore was maybe 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, everything's well developed. It was a great time.
Yeah, I think Hyderabad is becoming more and more like Bangalore as time comes in, and it's a nice place. So you moved to Hyderabad for work from that firm that you got into.
Correct.
On this program, and then what happens? And then you moved to Bangalore?
I did. So I finished the program stint there. Yeah. And long story short, I thought I always wanted to move back to the US, do my MBA, figure life out from there.
Okay.
But I loved living in India. I really, really did. And my parents were still in Singapore at the time. So close to them, all my cousins, my best friends are all in Bangalore. And I'd always known that I wanted to start a business. I wasn't sure all along what that business was going to be. But as I got sort of, I'd say in my early 20s, I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do. And that developed while I was in Hyderabad. And it actually led to Chakra. And I knew I wanted to do it in India. Again, like I'd said, I have family here, friends here. So Bangalore just sort of made sense as the first city that we opened spin studios in.
Sure. And just going back maybe a bit more, right? Does your family have any business background? I mean, has your dad been into business?
Yeah, he is.
And what did he do? And did he in any way inspire you to have this mindset of, say, entrepreneurship?
Very much so. So my dad's actually in the aerospace industry, which is very different than what I'm doing right now. But all along, I mean, we'd always heard about businesses, growing businesses, developing them, cool ideas here, cool ideas there. And my dad always encouraged, I have a younger brother, so he always encouraged my younger brother and I to work after college and then sort of follow a path that allows us to start a business if that's what we wanted to do. And it was what I wanted to do. So that's exactly what unfolded.
Came through.
Yeah.
So there was this motivation to kind of do your own thing, right, from the beginning. And I also feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, right? Like when you get education in Singapore or the US, I feel like the number of people who want to do their own things have like really increased. If you compare it, maybe even in India it is now, but I also feel like you get a more practical approach when you meet people from across the world. Did you feel like that was an advantage that you got because you studied in some of these places?
So in a sense, I think just my exposure overall made it easier to, I'll just speak to Chakra directly, made it easier to start Chakra. For example, because I've been for spin studios, or for spin classes rather, abroad, right? So in Singapore, in the US, I've seen what the fitness industry there is like, and it's booming, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I mean, people have literally centered their lives around their fitness classes, and it's become a way of life, really, right?
Yeah.
So I had that inspiration to look up to. Didn't exist in India. So that was where the opportunity sort of lay. And that's what encouraged me to start Chakra.
So that was the exposure in a way of understanding that a new market can be developed.
Exactly. So I saw what was possible, and then I wanted to bring it here.
Yeah.
I also went to Babson in Boston, which is a business school, essentially. It's a college, but it has a huge, huge emphasis on entrepreneurship. So literally everyone I was studying with was interested in either starting their own company or working for a startup, just building something from ground up, essentially. Yeah. So I'd say that helped as well.
I saw this picture of yours. I don't know, maybe it was your cousins. Like maybe you're 5 or maybe you're 6 in that picture. And the photograph is extremely Indian, right?
Yeah.
Like if I have to put it like that,
I don't know.
there are 5 of you.
Okay.
There are 5 of you.
Yeah.
You're on the top left, and maybe I'll show it to you.
Okay.
But the point I'm coming to is, you do.
Were they all girls?
Yeah, I think so.
I knew which one we were talking about.
Yeah,
Those are my best friends in Bangalore.
Oh, is it?
By the way.
Okay, then it's...
And one cousin.
Okay, there you go. That's the picture I'm talking about.
Wow,
And
that was very down on my feed, very far down.
yeah,
I'm
I went to your
surprised
first
you saw
post.
it.
I had to watch
There
like
you
everything.
go.
So anyway, coming back to this. So while you did have Indian friends, and I mean friends who are here, let me put it that way. And did you notice a difference in how their life was going and how your life was going? And is there a difference today in how things have turned out? And I'm not talking about comparison, who got it better or who got it, who got it lesser, but were there differences? And maybe can you talk about them? Because it is very real according to me, but I would love to hear your thoughts.
So to be honest, I'd have to say no.
Okay.
Again, in complete transparency. A lot of my friends, actually most of my friends here, all my best friends, ended up studying abroad as well. And they went to international schools in Bangalore. So I think I'll explain it this way.
Sure.
For example, when I played tennis in high school, and because we were located in Singapore, Southeast Asia, very, I'd say small community in that sense, even though it's a large geographic area. We used to compete against schools in Manila, against schools in KL, Jakarta, sort of all over. And we'd fly to those schools to compete. So that was an awesome experience that I'm really grateful for. And I think I only got that because I was located in Singapore. Whereas my friends who played sports here would play against other schools.
States, maybe?
Yeah, states as well. And even schools in Singapore, we didn't even play against other schools, right? We went straight to the international sector. So that's what I mean by that level.
You're saying it's pretty similar.
Yeah, it is, because they studied abroad. Honestly, a lot of them moved abroad. They're working abroad. So again, they're my family friends. So sort of the people who I grew up with, even though I didn't physically live in Bangalore growing up.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what pulls you back? I think, there's a clear difference of pursuing a profession abroad and pursuing profession here. But there are a lot of things that you get here that you don't get abroad. But for Nastassja, what was it that said, you know what, I want to stay here?
Yeah. So I love India. Honestly, like I said, I've moved around a lot, but I always wanted to move back to India. I think my heart was here, and I just... all of my best friends grew up here, right? And we'd come for Christmas, summers, whatever it was, to visit them. And I just thought it was such a beautiful, tight-knit, loving community. And I used to be very, very shy growing up. And we can get into this later. It's actually why I started Chakra.
So that's quite a surprise.
But I just loved, in general, living in India, visiting India. And when I was in Hyderabad, that sort of confirmed it for me that I'd love to spend a few years here. And like I said, the opportunity was here, right? I don't think that I would have even wanted to open a spin studio anywhere else abroad because the market's quite saturated. But in India, it's just
there was
a clean canvas.
There was a huge market. Yeah, clean canvas. And you can be like the flag bearer of
Yes, I hope so. That's the goal.
Yeah, I think one of the things that make people want to come back here or stay here is the type of warmth that you receive, and the fact that not all relationships are transactional.
Right.
I feel like in some of the places outside India, most things start to become transactional, which is fine. Maybe even in a workplace, right? I feel like they become transactional, and here, even in a workplace, there is emotion attached. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist outside India. I just feel like it's slightly higher here. Have you felt the same working here?
To an extent, to be honest, I think people are just generally more willing, honestly, even in the office space, to hang out and get chai together and that sort of thing. But there is definitely a sense of camaraderie and support internationally as well.
Okay. So you're saying not much of a difference. I think it does exist.
There is definitely a culture change, right? When you come and work in India, it is a different experience. But I don't think that love factor necessarily has to be extracted from the equation if you're working anywhere other than India.
And what languages have you been exposed to in India? And what are the languages that you understand like completely?
I speak rudimentary Hindi.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Sure.
And I had to take Mandarin in school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And has Kannada been an issue?
Honestly, it's not been an issue. I just don't speak a lick of it. But I think in Bangalore, for the most part, people tend to speak English and Hindi.
Okay, so you're able to
get by. Yeah.
Get by. Okay, that's nice. So just going back to how the journey of Chakra kind of came through. Yeah. And just before that, have you also had like a was it a physical transformation? Was it a mental transformation? I do feel like even in your posts, whether it be appearance or, maybe even the mentality, right? I think there's like a broad shift over the last, say, 5 years. Was there a transformation? And if there was, what was it and how did it happen for you? Yeah.
200%, not even 100%. It truly was a mental transformation. And I figured one of the questions you might ask me is why I started Chakra. And this bleeds directly into that. And I'm going to answer it in a story.
Sure, please.
I'll explain to you.
We're here for stories.
But in a nutshell, so like I touched upon earlier, I used to be extremely shy, to the point where a lot of my friends, actually the friends that I was mentioning, the best friends in Bangalore, a lot of them genuinely thought something was wrong with me. Like people thought I had a social disorder. It was that bad. I just could not speak.
So what, like from school?
Even before that, I'd say from the age of probably like 5, 6 till I was 18. And honestly, I only fully came out of that shell when I was 22 after I graduated from college. But again, I think at the root of it, it was just the fact that I was petrified of being judged. And I don't know why. I have a very loving family. I'm very grateful to say loving friends. It was just, I think it was honestly a lot had to do with the school environment I was in. And I've now learned that I can't blame any of that whatsoever. It's my reaction to that situation. But anyways, my dad made me read a book before I went to college. And he quite literally said, Nastassja, if you don't read this book, I'm not funding your college education, hands down. And my dad has always told me that I can do anything a guy can do and more. And I have to go to college and I have to make the most of it and all of that stuff. So I sort of rolled my eyes and said, yeah, whatever. There's no way you're not going to fund my college education, because all you've been telling me growing up is that you have to go to college, you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to do that. But anyways, he he was dead serious. So I love to read. That wasn't the issue. It was more of the content that he was asking me to read. But the book was The Secret.
Oh, wow,
not sure
of course.
If you've heard
It's
of
the
it.
first book I ever read.
Really?
Yeah, it's the first book. In fact, this was 2018, and 2018 is when I started posting on this channel. And
Sorry, you haven't read a book before that?
I mean, like a self-help book, right? And I would never read books apart from what school and college asked me to. I would never. And somewhere, of course, like The Secret used to really come up, and now, of course, I think I've grown out of, like, I've added layers to those learnings. That's like the starter pack.
Gateway for me.
Yeah, the gateway to like self-help and like self-actualization and everything else. But that was like the kick for me, and I still have like a huge notepad in which I've made like tons of notes.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. That's incredible. Same, honestly, same
And it's a good gateway. Anyway, go ahead.
So, okay, I have goosebumps right now that was your experience.
Lovely.
Because not many people say that. But anyways, that was I ended up reading the book, and something resonated with me. I till this day don't know what it was. I think the fact that it sort of spat out so many examples of, and The Secret, for those of you who don't know, is about the law of attraction. And basically the idea that your thoughts create your reality. And in the beginning, I sort of rolled my eyes through it, and I was like, yeah, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. And then it was just example after example after example across the whole spectrum of topics, right? So I think in the book. So I came away thinking, okay, you know what? There has to be something here, right? There's no way that it's not just a one-off miracle or, 5-10 times. It's literally hundreds and thousands of examples that were shown. So that was my starter. I said, okay, I'm going to college and I'm going to make myself one promise. I'm going to make eye contact with every single person I encounter, and I'm going to smile. That's how bad it was. Like, literally, Adarsh, I tell you, I would walk this way. Like, if I was walking down the street this way and someone was walking this way, I'm not even joking, I would cross the street so that I did not have to have any form of interaction with them. That's how shy I was. It was literally that bad. But The Secret helped me crack that. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to do that, and I'm going to tell myself it's going to work. And it did. It was like magic. My life, literally, with that one promise, transformed. I made an amazing group of friends that helped further pull me out of that shell. But again, that book led me to many, many more. So Many Lives, Many Masters, and then all of the Abraham Hicks books really and truly changed my life. So I started implementing everything that I was learning through what I was reading. And I became so much happier. I became so much more free. I realized that life is meant to be enjoyed and lived every single day, that our natural state is one of joy. And I think a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, sort of forget that, right?
Or maybe they don't even know that.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
The truth.
Exactly. So yeah, and the reason I started Chakra actually was to relay this knowledge in a more mainstream way, because I talked to my friends about it, and they would have my initial reaction. So they would roll their eyes and they'd be like, Nastassja, I don't even know what you're talking about. It worked for you, but that's a random one-off fluke situation. But I started talking about it more and more and more. And then some of my friends came up to me and they're like, oh my God, it actually works. And I think because I went through such a drastic transformation, like literally could not speak, to starting a business and being a spin instructor myself. All I do now is talk, and I love it. People have to ask me to shut up, quite literally, So I think the fact that they'd seen that transformation also gave them a bit more belief in the topic, if you will. And then, at Chakra, it's all about the mental, and the physical is a nice little benefit. But not many people know that until they come for a class.
Come to the class.
And that's where I think the addiction factor lies, is that they just feel so empowered.
I feel like Chakra can become a cult.
Best way possible. I hope so.
Because you're like this leader, in the front, like giving people all the affirmations that they need and thinking of it the right way. And I think now I get where some of those bits come from. It's
Right.
basically the secret talking in your voice and
and not just mine, and all of our instructors. So
Yeah?
so
Is
honestly, it's not just. I mean, we literally every single person who's working at Chakra lives and breathes this. Otherwise, it just honestly it wouldn't work.
It won't work.
So,
It won't work. That's for sure. And we'll come back to some of the ways Chakra is working and how you're able to have these 12 trainers kind of have the same school of thought, right? So the shyness was kind of the one that was getting in the way of, the pre-Nastassja.
everything.
Yeah. And then the book comes in and you read the book and you doubt it and then you apply it and it starts to work.
Yeah.
And was fitness always a part of your life?
Absolutely not. Yeah. So I did play sports growing up. So I was on the swim team when I was younger, and then tennis. I was on the tennis team in high school. So I would say I was somewhat athletic in that sense, but it was never a passion. I honestly used to hate running. We used to have to run just a mile. We used to have to run in school, and it was the most miserable day of the month whenever we had to do that. Now, of course, I love it. But yeah, I think I genuinely learned to love it. I recognized the benefits. I understood what it could do for me. And it was just about practice, like anything, right? Even the mental stuff, it's not easy in the beginning, but it's just about doing it day in and day out, day after day. And that's when you see the transformation.
And has your dad also been in the same school of thought in terms of manifestation, setting goals, hitting them? And has he also been like a very driven individual?
So a driven individual, I'd say yes, definitely. With manifestation as the backbone, absolutely not. Until very recently, right? So after I went through this whole journey, I think I almost forcefully brought my family along with me, but it was the best thing that happened to us, to be honest. So now he genuinely believes in it and practices it as well. I think it's easier for some people than other people. I think also age can play into that because you've sort of had this one set of
train of
thinking, exactly, train of thought your whole life, and the older you are, it's just more sort of cemented in your brain.
Challenge it,
exactly. But he believes it now. He lives it, and I've seen a change in him as well.
Yeah, and honestly, like you said, when people around you start seeing the change, right, they start asking you what's working, and then you really have to convince them in terms of how to do it. And now you know that you want the same for them. And I think after I read that book, I think maybe I've gifted it to like 10 more people because they asked me. They said, okay, tell me what I need to do, right? Because I'm really stuck. And this is where I am. I'm not getting answers. And I think one of the good things about the book for me even today is just having the abundance mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because that kind of removes a lot of the anxiety and having the abundance of time and having the abundance of there's enough for everyone, and what's meant for you already exists. It's only about when you're going to
tapping into it.
Just tapping into it. I think it removed a lot of the anxiety for me because early 20s was like 5 years ago, which means 24 maybe 23 24 is when I read it, and I felt like I needed to achieve everything tomorrow. Or else someone else is going to take it, right? And that was kind of removed from the book, and I've seen it change many people's lives. And honestly, that's literally just the beginning of like a whole like new way of living.
A whole new world.
A whole new world. And then you figure like there's so many people who have written so many things, and they're just higher levels of self-actualization and just feeling like wholesome, right? So thanks for sharing that.
Quick question. Have you read Many Lives, Many Masters?
No.
Okay. I've given it to you. Like you have a list. I have a list for that book. 57 people. So you'll be the 58th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please.
I'll give
this
that
is
to you,
many lives?
Many Masters.
Oh, wow. What's it about?
So it's honestly a very long story. It's actually about reincarnation.
Okay.
But it goes hand in hand. A lot of people think it's counterintuitive, but if you understand both concepts, it actually goes hand in hand with The Secret and the law of attraction. But it really explains in the most scientific way possible why everything, like that everything happens for a reason, essentially, really and truly. And when I realized that, it helped me see that, okay, you know what, no matter what the situation is, no matter how horrible it might be, there is a silver lining, and all you have to do is tug till that silver lining sort of becomes a blanket that envelops you, and you feel calm. There's no more anxiety. There's no more any of that. And then I felt free to go ahead and create the life that I wanted through the knowledge from The Secret.
Wow.
So that is one that I highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I think it's been a while since I read a book. So I think I'll enjoy this one. And so you said, whatever happens for a reason. So, I mean, apart from the book, and of course I'm ready to explore this book, but so what do you believe, like your path is already written? Is that what it is now?
So here's the thing. To an extent, yes. I believe that every single person or soul, if you will, sort of chooses the lessons that you're meant to learn in this life. And you choose those lessons, you learn those lessons through the people you meet, right? Okay. But at the same time, I also think that at a certain level, people are exposed to sort of the concepts of manifesting. And when we talk about manifesting, right, it's basically the idea that we live in a vibrational universe.
Sure.
And when you tune your frequency to the future or to the outcome that it is you want, that's when that starts to sort of show up in your life. Yeah. But you have to be operating at that frequency in order for you to experience it. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they say, okay, I'm thinking it every single day and I want it. I don't want anything else. But their focus is on the lack of it, and they're not living life as if they've already achieved it. And that's where the discrepancy lies. But to answer your question, I believe that yes, certain things were predetermined in a sense, lesson-wise, but you definitely have free will, which is what this book talks about as well. And manifesting fits into that free will. So even if I think I'm creating the life of my dreams, that sort of learning was meant to happen, if you will.
Yeah, I think there's this like broad scope of things that have been planned, but that broad scope is enough for like multiple lifetimes.
Yes.
Like there are 100 possibilities that you were born into, but maybe it's for you to figure out what, rate you want to, go, and what's the frequency that you want to live in. And then you kind of tap into the opportunities that you want rather than what's coming your way, or rather than what you were born into. Yeah. So, I think there are a few factors that are kind of predetermined. Like the cards you were dealt, you can't change it too much. Like the parents, like the family and these things, like you can't change that too much.
But the book says, and we'll chat after this book, okay? Sure. But the book literally says, and lots of these studies say that you choose your parents, right? Even the Gita says that actually.
Oh, really?
So it's not that people complain about that all the time, but actually the soul has chosen to be born into a family for a reason. That reason being the lessons that you're meant to learn in that life.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. For sure. Like if I have to look at like my personal life, like it makes like a lot of sense. Like because I've become so self-aware of I can't say everything. It sounds too bad. Become more aware of things around me. I've realized like there's a reason, why I was placed in this situation with these people, with these problems, and like it's amazing to kind of solve them and get through it.
It makes it exciting. It really does.
And it's also unique, right? There's a reason you've been given that. And it's just that how much are you going to make out of all of this? Because if you figure it out, then you realize, oh shit, there's a lot of magic for you to kind of unlock right here.
Exactly.
And it's enough, like I said, it's enough for like 100 lifetimes. You're anyway not going to achieve it all. Like you're anyway not going to experience everything in like a single lifetime. But anyway, coming back. So why Chakra? Why the name Chakra?
So twofold to that answer, but one of my best friends actually named Chakra. So she used to teach for India and was teaching a class quite literally about the Indian flag and was explaining the chakra in the center of the flag and messaged me right after saying, I have your name. She knew I was looking for a name for the spin studio, and it means wheel in Hindi and also relates to the 7 chakras in the human body, which are they are energy centers essentially, right? Yeah. So chakras all about energy, and we're a spin studio, right, which is where the wheel fits in. So we stuck with that name, and I also wanted it to be, we're in India, and I wanted it to be Indian in that sense. So
I think whoever this friend is, it's like almost destined to be your friend, because for her to give you something so apt, it's like there was no way that anyone else could have given you that name.
And to give you further confirmation, she's actually the one who encouraged me to start Spin Studios. So there you go. Destiny secured. Yeah.
And it's also energy, right? Because now you see how this works. Because you're working at a certain frequency, you've also attracted people in the same frequency into your life. Okay, forget attracted. You've kept people. Because, you can have them in your life, but you can lose them as well. You've kept people who go at the same frequency. And what starts to happen then, all the things that you can't solve, the environment around you solves it for you, and it just comes to your lap. Right? And that's freaking amazing. Yeah. Like the type of things that I've got from my friends, I'm like, how the hell did this happen? And some of the things that they've given me, right, both monetary and non-monetary, are effortless for them. And it didn't cost them anything to give me that, but it's probably changed my life to a whole new extent. Yeah. But that's only happened because you've built this circle and all of you are in the same energy and frequency. Mm-hmm. And that energy that you're in is basically supporting everyone.
For sure. Yeah.
That's so crazy. And for you to trust that friend of yours and now say that Chakra is like literally the center of your life, isn't that like so awesome? It's
magical, honestly. It truly is. It truly is.
And were there any inhibitions about running the space? Were there challenges? Things maybe you felt that you're not equipped?
Yeah. Inhibitions, no. Things we felt unequipped for, I'd say no. Mm-hmm. I actually made myself a promise when I started Chakra, and that promise was that, so our tagline is enjoy the ride. And I said, I'm going to enjoy the ride and I'm going to enjoy the process, or honestly, there's no point in starting it, right? I had a job. I quit that job to start this, and I could have started anything else. I could have found another job. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it wholeheartedly and happily, even on the tough days. Mm-hmm. Sometimes easier said than done. Yes, of course. But I'd say the biggest challenge for us was the fact that we launched during COVID. So we had this plan. We sort of, the space was ready. Everything was in play.
What month?
And then we were meant to launch in March or April. And then basically India shut its borders. So COVID had hit, a few months earlier. And we had 2 spin instructors from the UK who were meant to fly down to train all of us. There were 8 instructors in the beginning. Clearly the borders closed, so that couldn't happen. And in hindsight, I'm glad it didn't, because they would have been stuck here for God knows how many months. But anyways, we trained virtually. So I had 3 bikes in my house, and we had a screen behind us, and we would watch video after video, and they'd give us exercises to do. And it took us many, many more months than planned, clearly. But again, I think it happened for a reason, right? Because every single instructor, spinning like this didn't exist in India, so none of us sort of knew what we were doing in that sense. But we were able to live the life of an actual first-time rider, right? Because we had no idea what we were doing. We understood what our riders would feel like, and were then able to tweak our classes accordingly, which really, really helped us in the beginning. And then, so we pushed our launch clearly till the tail end of October. Opened, had to shut during 2 lockdowns, which was, again, I was like, listen, not the ideal situation, but there's literally nothing we can do at this point. So we're just going to ride it out. And that's what we did. And I think by the end of it, everyone was just itching to get back to some form of routine, some form of in-person reality. So yeah, it helped us actually.
And how many members train at Chakra today?
12.
Not the trainers.
Members?
Yeah, how many members?
Many. We have over 10,000 people who have downloaded our app or have an account on our website.
You do have an online presence as well. So you do virtual?
So yeah, we do have classes online too, but you can book online. So either through the website or app. That's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, just put that into contrast, right? Like, you're saying 10,000, you're saying 12 instructors, and then just put that into contrast with COVID shutting everything down, and you're locking yourself in that room and learning how to do this, right? And you put that into contrast and you realize that this is what people see, and this is where it began, and this is what was required for this to happen. And everyone just talks about this, but not many people talk about this. And as you were saying this, what I felt? It felt like people like climb like these huge mountains to reach like a temple.
Yeah.
And when you get to the temple, of course, there's relief and you feel so happy. But that climb is never easy. Yeah. So in a way, I felt like that, you locking yourself in that room was like climbing that mountain and somewhere believing that there is like this temple right on the top. Yeah. And now y'all are there. But I think that journey is...
I think we're a step in the right direction, because ultimately we definitely want to scale and grow Chakra pan-India. Sure. And as I had mentioned earlier, we now have 2 studios in Bangalore. So there's definitely a lot more work to do. Yeah. But thank you for that example and analogy, because it
made me feel like...
It is. Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. Exactly. Correct. And I think that it's a pit stop on our mountain, if you will, because we want lots more. So,
there's lots more. That's always nice. So just getting into the trainers, right? Now, having more trainers, I think, to be able to communicate the school of thought, the vision is, of course, and, you want to scale. That's where you start, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to communicate and like literally put it into their DNA, if I may say so, in terms of why you started Chakra, what needs to be kept in mind irrespective of what. Was that an easy process or did it take time?
So, yes, I'm grateful to say yes. I think, like you said, you sort of attract the people who are meant to be in your life at a certain stage. And I feel really grateful to be able to say that I think that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Our original training, part of the training was that every single instructor had to read 3 books. One was The Secret, one was Many Lives, Many Masters, and one was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Is lovely. This is amazing.
Yeah, they had to, no matter what. And again, I'm never going to force anyone to have a certain mindset, right? So a lot of riders, many of them come and they say, Chakra is therapy for us. We feel like, some have said, I literally don't have to see my therapist anymore. Like I get more out of Chakra than I get from that. Definitely not saying stop, all of the other work that you're doing, but that is the power that room sort of yields. Having said that, a lot of people do just come for the physical aspect, right? Yeah. So either way, definitely not trying to say this is the way that you have to think. We're just saying this is another school of thought that you may not have been exposed to, but here you go, empower yourselves, go live your best life, quite literally. So that's what I also sort of iterated to the instructors again and again. You don't have to believe what you're reading per se, but you do have to read it to have that exposure in order to be an instructor at Chakra, because that is sort of the blood that runs through our veins. So and luckily, they all believe it, right? They all literally live and breathe it, because honestly, if you don't, you're not going to be able to motivate on the podium. And even if you're trying to say things, people will be able to see right through if it's not genuine. So they do. And sort of to piggyback off of, my point itself, but a few of our instructors were riders and have now become instructors. So in the beginning, I cold messaged people on Instagram to help sort of, or encourage them to become instructors. And then of late, I'd say, our last 3 instructors actually were Chakra riders. And then, it helped them so much in their life. No, and they had to do it voluntarily, right? So they loved it to a point that they said, okay, I want to see myself on the podium. I have so much more to offer. This world or this room, however you want to, whatever lens you want to look through it, look at it through. So that's our goal now, is just to have people who are coming to Chakra become instructors, because ideally there's no better way.
Sweet. I like how it's called the podium. Like it's like, it's such a special place to like be on, it shows like that's the person who's driving the energy in the room. I think it's pretty nice. And it's also, like you said, like the instructor needs to also believe that that's the core part of his or her life, right? He or she is not doing it to just come there to earn the buck.
Yeah.
He or she's coming there because that gets them going as well.
100%. Yeah.
So it's like a win-win situation, right? For the people who come there as riders and for the people who are coming there as instructors. Yeah. Like both are benefiting from each other, which is awesome. And in terms of, I wanted to ask you this. How is a Chakra class priced compared to another class of, say, just a regular spin class? Is it more premium in nature or is it the same?
It is. So it's 850 rupees per class.
And like a regular class would cost?
So honestly, there are no other regular classes to compare it to. There are a lot of gyms who have spin classes in them, but that's included in the gym membership.
In the membership.
But there are other boutique fitness studios that have opened who charge 1,000 and 1,200. So in that sense, we're all sort of up there. But
can you tell us how you're better than like these?
So honestly, no, I don't believe
people.
we're better than them. I really don't. Truly, the abundance mindset, right?
Sure.
I think I want them to succeed. I want us to succeed. And I think that luckily it's been a very supportive community because the studios that I'm thinking of right now, we all do different things, but we all have the same clientele, right? It's the same target market. It's the same, all of that. But I want Chakra riders to go experience the other studios as well, because they're targeting different parts of their body through that, and it's going to help them mentally as well, right? It just helps everybody. So as they grow, we grow. That's the mindset. So yes.
Can't like, I'm just thinking, I don't know if you've already thought about it, but all these apartments have like gym spaces and workout spaces. Can't they like get like a Chakra instructor there to run a class? I mean, is that something possible?
So a lot of people have asked me that. To be honest, I don't think it'll work quite as we want it.
What changes?
Because it's about the environment as well, right? Yeah. So you have to have a dark room. You have to have really loud music, which is, it is capital intensive in order to start that initially. So unless it's sort of a genuine business that operates many, many classes a day, it doesn't quite make sense to randomly pop up.
Yeah. I think it's so much about the detailing that you can't keep replicating those details, right? Every single thing in that room has a certain reason why it's kept that way, and you can't keep like replicating those details everywhere you go. So you'd rather have them come there.
Yes. Yeah. And again, to sort of solve the issue of accessibility, the idea is to have more studios, but more Chakra studios, not just in apartments.
So what's like the biggest challenge today for you with Chakra?
I'd say one thing that we want to do is just add more classes to the existing studios, and we need to find more trainers for that. So we're in the process of doing that. And with scale comes needing more instructors,
cost,
right?
And cost, right?
Of course, cost as well. But honestly, the biggest challenge is to find the instructors who are as passionate about Chakra as the original instructors are. I do think it's very possible. It will happen. It just takes a little bit longer. And is that like a full-time thing that no. Yeah, because it's the number of hours that you commit in a week, right? So someone can have like a regular job and still be a Chakra instructor. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. So actually most of our instructors are in that position. We have people who are tax consultants, some work at Microsoft, for example. Some are dancers. So it just a wide spectrum, which also adds to the diversity. That's what we want, and truly,
Tell me something that you remember from a class that happened. Maybe the class went so well that at the end of it, something that stuck on with you, someone's experience or something that happened that you can't forget.
So it's happened in a few instances, different reasons for each time, but where a rider has come up to me after in tears, literally crying, and said, what you said resonated with me so much, and I don't know what cracked, but something cracked, and there was an emotional release, and they needed it. They said, I needed that. I didn't even know that I needed that. Thank you so much. And for me, it's not me doing anything, right? It's just me delivering the message, and it's 100% the rider putting in the work, the rider opening themselves up to whatever it is that I was saying, and allowing it to resonate with them. So it's them putting in the work. It's just me being my version of my books, if you will. That's how I got the knowledge, and they're getting it from whatever our instructors are saying. So for me, that's the magic of Chakra.
Of Chakra. And your brother is the co-founder?
So he did help me a lot in the beginning. My brother actually is an avid horse rider. So he now does that more full time.
So this is pretty much you riding the ride right now.
Yes, it is. It is.
Wow. And has your family seen any of these classes? Have they been part of it? Your dad and
they definitely have. Yeah.
Oh, what do they
My mom
feel?
actually. So they love it, of course. My mom, when she's in town, comes to Chakra every single day with me. She actually planned 2 years ago a surprise birthday party for me at Chakra. So they all decorated the studio. All of our instructors at the time took turns instructing.
This was when you turned 27.
Shirts. There you go. You I turned 27. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I think what I really liked about this whole thing is the type of support you've had. I think that's like, it's so rare. And it's nice to see that you're grateful for that, because that really makes everything so enjoyable. Because whether you're struggling or whether you're doing well, you have like these folks really there for you. So what apart from Chakra? I mean, is Chakra the definition of Nastassja's life? Or how are you looking at it right now?
Yeah, I hope work is never the full definition of anyone's life. But yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life. I love it. I'm always thinking about it. But I haven't told anyone else this yet, so I was thinking if I should tell you guys or not. But I'm actually, one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is speaking to people one-on-one about actually the concepts that we just touched upon, right? And now, quite a few riders actually approach me after class and they want to talk about certain topics that were brought up in class or just that I've referenced otherwise. So I am in the process of taking a coaching course, basically. Next year, 2024, I would love nothing more than to start a coaching business on the side where I just work with people one-on-one, short sessions. They identify an issue or the place that they're at and where they want to be, and we'll figure out how we can sort of remove certain blocks that exist to get them there. So,
I'm not surprised, to be honest. Like, it fits. It fits so well.
Thank you.
It fits so well. I can see you sit across like a multi-billionaire who figured out money but didn't figure out like a lot of the other things, and you're like, bro, let me fill you in on some of the things you've missed, and I feel like you'll be able to help a lot of people.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It fits the picture. And this is like in stone, right? You know for a fact that this is what you want to do.
Yes, nothing. Honestly, I've been thinking about it for so long, and I just never really took. It's not even a plunge. I never even took the step in order to become or to learn about how to go about coaching. And I think I was just a bit, not even confused, just daunted at the thought of it. And then I kept listening to what I was telling myself and riders during class. And I was like, Nastassja, enough is enough. This is what you want to do. It's what you're meant to do. So practice what you preach. And that's what led me.
It's very interesting. I think I'm going to be asking you some questions about this post the shoot. Because it's very interesting. And I think, some of us really enjoy helping people get to where they want to be, and somewhere that's where we want to be, right? We want to help people get to those places, and it's just that this is pretty incredible.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you spoke about it, because now it's on record.
There you go. It makes me feel so alive every time I think about it, and now it better come to life.
Yeah. This is nice. While you and this is something I was wondering some time back and didn't ask you. So one of the transformations, I think main transformations, was you going from being a shy person to becoming more expressive and all of that. Do you think there's any other, something else that's coming in the way, something else that needs to be fixed? or you feel like you're very aware of where you are and what you're working on. Is there something that you want to be working on for yourself? Something that you haven't been able to?
Genuinely, honestly, I think we're all always a work in progress, no matter what. And I think even with that whole sort of judgment aspect of my life, definitely diminished a lot. But if I'm being honest, right, I think that I would have started coaching much earlier on if I wasn't necessarily thinking about, okay, what are people going to think, or are they going to believe that I can do it? All of that sort of things. But I mean, people say that's natural at the end of the day, right? And it is to a certain extent, but at the same time, we have control over the situation. And I think that's something that I will always be working on. But for sure, just being more, asking myself more often what it is that I truly want, what it is that I truly feel, and then actioning that as opposed to just sort of sitting back and letting life happen. I think that's something that I definitely want to work on more.
If you had to choose between being religious or being spiritual, what would you?
A spiritual, 100%.
Yeah? And reason?
I think every single religion is, I mean, it is spiritual, right? And I once heard someone say that, I mean, religion is sort of spirituality for, I don't want to say dummies, but for the masses, in the sense that it's easy to deliver the message in that sense. It's also very powerful, right? Everything we've been speaking of, you can literally lead the life of your dreams. And you and I want that for everybody, but especially back in the day, I'm not quite sure that that's what people who had cracked the code wanted for everyone, because it allowed them to be in power, right? So, and that's where everything sort of stemmed from. So I think if you look at it, every religion ultimately says the same thing, right? Just love thy neighbor, essentially. And that's what spirituality preaches.
It's like this, right? I've always felt like religion is different religions are, it's made in a certain way for the demography, for the language, for the roots. It's more structured so that it's like a path, this is the explanation you'll understand, so here you go.
Exactly.
So there was this friend of mine who used to visit this temple every year, and he told me, you should go there once. I said, no, I'm glad, you carry on. I'm happy that you're getting the type of energy that you're getting. But, there are ways that I look at things in my own life. And he said, what is this? What is this way that you're talking about? You're not going to, like, it's not that I don't believe in the temples, and I've gone and I still go. And when it's required and certain times I still visit the temple. But I told him, I've always felt like, and this has been from childhood, I always felt like I have like a direct connection, like a direct, number that I can call. It's like straight up there. And I didn't have to like develop it. It was just there. And I never had to go anywhere. Right? I feel like I'm always in touch. I'm always in, and it's, the journey has only been how to be in touch more. It's never that I was never in touch. And I knew like that was the path for me. It's more like of a personal connect. And that also drew me to realize that's what you talk about, energy and frequencies. And when you're able to tap into that, it's like a direct connection.
Exactly.
And is that how you feel too? And do you pray every day? Or how do these things happen for you?
For sure. So I meditate every day, and I think that is a form of prayer. I also do believe in the power of like temples, for example, and just certain spiritual structures. I think there's so much positive energy that goes into those structures that it does reverberate off, right? And also, again, just going back to the fundamental laws of the universe, essentially, whatever you believe in strongly will happen. Right? So if you believe so strongly that going to a temple and praying for what it is that you want at that temple will solve your issue or will give you what it is that you want, chances are it might very well happen, right? But ultimately it's the underlying law that's in play, not the fact that you went to X, Y, or Z spot. So that's my take on it.
And honestly, it's so simple, but it's difficult at the same time for a lot of people. And so be it.
And honestly, it is. But, and so many people ask me this, and they're like, but how, and they give specific situations. Like, so many people are dying in this part of the world. How is that meant to be? How is this happening? How is that happening? And like we were talking about earlier, just about exposure, right? So I can't sit here and say, this is why it's happening, this is why it's happening, this is why it's happening. Honestly, I don't think anyone will be able to do that till death. But because I've read so much on all of these topics, I have the answers to those questions based on the experiences I've read about, right? Even if I've not experienced it directly, I've read about other people experiencing either through past life regression or whatever laws of the universe manifesting all of this stuff, that for me, it makes total sense. So when people find it hard to understand, completely get it. I was one of those people. I'll raise both of my hands in the beginning. The difference is that I've just read so much more, right? Or you can watch about it too. You can listen about it, whatever it is. It's just that exposure that sort of relieves the anxiety, relieves all of the questions.
And it's just a matter of time. How much time do you want to invest in?
Exactly.
You invest and it's all there.
Yeah.
And it's all there on the internet. It's enough for anyone to type of, to get a clarity on some of these things. It's just that, are you ready to challenge the pre-existing thoughts that you had, right? Anyway, I think, Nastassja, like one of the things I tell a few people here is, please don't treat this as a one episode invite, because I feel like there's so much more to you, and I can never justify you and your journey in an hour. Like, that's impossible. All we can do is attempt our best. But I would definitely want you back here.
Thank you.
With, maybe we'll give it a few months and,
Part 2.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2, because some of the things that you said, I have like a lot more questions, and I feel like we can really like get those conversations much deeper than what we could today. But thank you for making it here today. Thank you for being so open about your journey and being open about your next step, which we wish you all the best for.
Thank you.
And, there's one thing we've always believed, that this room keeps getting added on with energy with the type of people that come here. And I think today you've like flooded this place with like a lot of positivity. And I think we'll always remain grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for reaching out. I'm very grateful that you wanted me here. So thank you.
So looking forward to being in touch with you. And I think we should attend one of your classes. Please for sure. It's about time I get some fitness in my life. But yeah, we can talk about that later. But yeah, thanks Nastassja for being here.
My pleasure.
Any final message for the folks who come to your class?
I honestly just thank you. Thank you for supporting Chakra. Thank you for believing in us and in yourself.
Yeah. There you go. This was Nastassja Suri on the OAPN podcast, and this was episode number 83. I think we had a great time. I hope you did too. And this is a promise that Nastassja will be back, because I'm not done for sure. Like, I really enjoyed like a lot of topics, because there were certain topics like I absolutely loved talking about, and it was so hard for me to like, just let it stay there for now. But yeah, we'll have her back. If you enjoyed this episode, let her know, let us know. And if you haven't attended one of her classes, I think it's time you do. So thanks everyone. We'll see you on the next one.